I am live here December the 9th, 7:21 p.m. with your daily news update. The big news of the day is Batista is going to be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame at the ceremony in Tampa this April, which, by the way, the Hannibal TV is going to be covering WrestleCon and the WrestleMania festivities in April. Bill Apter will be representing us there. And the NWO is also going to be in this Hall of Fame, which I don't see really the big news on that. This is just recycling people that have already been inducted. Scott Hall's already in there. Hogan's already in there. Nash is already in there. And X-Pac is already in there with D-Generation X. So why a guy like Kamala, who is dying and really wants to be in the Hall of Fame, can't be put in, but guys that have already been put in are being put in again, obviously, just to try and make more money off of their names. It's just sad that, like, Vader really wanted to be in before he died too, but they don't make exceptions for people like that, but they'll put other people in twice. And Randy Savage comments, how about the Rougeau brothers? How is Jacques Rougeau not in the WWE Hall of Fame and Abdullah the Butcher is, when Jacques Rougeau is a former Intercontinental Champion, had a great run with the Mounties, and he's a three-time WWE Tag Team Champion as the Quebecers, 4 times if you count the Rougeau's win in Montreal that was reversed and never happened. And if you watch my interview with Jacques Rougeau, you'll hear all about that. But Abdullah the Butcher's in there, never had a match in WWE. But Jacques Rougeau isn't. And then you have Bruiser Brody, who was put in the legacy wing last year, whatever the hell that is. They didn't even notify Barbara, his widow, nor did they invite her to the ceremony, even though she was actually in New York City that WrestleMania weekend. And yet Abdullah the Butcher, who never wrestled one match for WWE, is in the WWE Hall of Fame, where Brody actually fought for WWF, wrestled Bruno Sammartino, wrestled in Madison Square Garden, which Abdullah the Butcher never did. So it makes no sense. It's always a topic of discussion, but it's unfortunate that, as I said, Kamala, I really love the guy. I was at his house last year for an interview I did with him, and I got the sense from him he really wanted to be in bad, and yet they're putting some people in twice before he gets in once, and he's really deserving. I mean, he main evented with Hulk Hogan, The Undertaker, had a couple of good runs in WWE, so that's sad. Sami Zayn, who I can only assume is gay, he had a fan kicked out of a WWE house show in Daytona Beach, Florida over the weekend for allegedly making homophobic remarks. I have been called all sorts of names by fans. I've never had a fan ejected. I remember when wrestlers were men and they realized that fans calling them names is just part of the thing. I mean, I've been at events where the Honky Tonk Man has asked the crowd to call a certain wrestler various names that many wouldn't be considered appropriate. But it's just unfortunate that fans and the whole wrestling experience has changed. I understand why wrestling's so unpopular now. I have nothing against people of that sexuality whatsoever. But I just don't understand why wrestlers are having fans kicked out. I just don't get it. I could understand if there's little kids around a particular fan and their father or mother is offended and they're kicked out for that reason, but I just don't get it. Wrestlers are supposed to have thick skin, and fans bothering them, I just don't get it. I've been attacked by fans, and in some cases I haven't had fans kicked out after attacking me. So to say a name, sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Now names hurt wrestlers. Like, what kind of pussy are you? And Sami Zayn wrestled for Great North Wrestling as El Generico once. Jeremy Prophet booked him. I never personally knew him, but I mean, name calling, give me a break. That's just my opinion. I have been called every name in the book. And trust me, I get called names still every day in the book, even as a reporter. I wake up to like hate mail every day. Luke Harper's deal was going to be up in the spring. He was released yesterday along with the Ascension and Sin Cara. All of those wrestlers have 3-month no compete causes, so don't expect them to appear for any other companies for anytime soon. Danny produces the pussification of pro wrestling. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Wrestling is not what it used to be. A lot of people say, like, I'm happy being a reporter because what wrestling has become and what wrestlers have become is not what I grew up watching. I would never be a wrestling fan growing up nowadays. I would have been a UFC fan. Unfortunately, when I was growing up, UFC was not what it was. And guys like Dan Severn, the Pioneers, were getting like 45,000 for fighting 3 times a night. So it wasn't really a career option, and there wasn't as many MMA schools as there is now. But yeah. Rolo555 says, I remember back in 93 on a Raw episode, the entire Manhattan Center was chanting homophobic remarks at Shawn Michaels, and Shawn laughed it off. Like, that's exactly it. I mean, if you're a wrestler, I understand it's not appropriate, or you may have something personal against it, but you really have to take what fans say lightly. They're paying a lot of money to sit in these seats and yell whatever they say at you. I mean, there's some words like that people just say as insults. They don't actually mean it to bash that whole selection of people. So I don't know. I just think that these wrestlers need to have thicker skins. Smackdown, according to the Wrestling Observer, is underperforming in the demographic that Fox was looking for, as well as the total viewers that Fox wanted. They wanted more than a 1 rating, and they've been consistently getting under a 1 rating SmackDown on Fox, and not less than the number of viewers that Fox wanted. This ACH guy that quit WWE and then quit MLW has stated that he hates fans and the wrestling business and is completely dropping out of wrestling. Shane Douglas, who I have done a career interview with now at patreon.com/thehannibaltv this year, plus one last year, that's up free now on this channel. He's going to be on the next Canadian Wrestling Elite Cross Canada Tour. There was one this past Friday that we taped for the Hannibal TV. We put one of the clips out of Blood Hunter defeating Juventud Guerrera, who Blood Hunter defeated very easily last weekend. Of course, you can see the Blood Hunter for PCW Ultra in LA, their big anniversary show, January 10th. He's going to be wrestling Sabu and Kevin Sullivan. The Task Master himself will be wrestling the Blood Hunter on that card. And then Great North Wrestling, February 29th, Smith Falls, Ontario, the Blood Hunter and Too Cold Scorpio against the Faces of Fear, Haku and Barbarian. More information on that event at thehannibaltv.com. Someone says WWE is never going to get the 18 to 35 demographic back. Lunar Force was wondering if you had any MMA shoots lined up for next year. What are the chances of getting interviews with Bas Rutten and Chael Sonnen down the road? I have contacted Bas Rutten because I really want an interview with him. I haven't heard back from him yet. Chael and I have talked here and there, but he lives in Oregon. I don't know when I'll be in Oregon, but I'm sure at some point in time I will get interviews with those guys. And there's more MMA shoot interviews in the works. That's right. Anonymously Awesome says, I don't get why Sami got offended when people of that sexuality and Muslims don't accept that Muslims don't accept gay people. I've heard that too. I'm no expert on the Muslim religion, but yes, I don't know what Sami Zayn is. This guy's alluding that Sami Zayn could possibly be Muslim, and he's finding that comments. Anyways, I'm not even going to go there, but my whole point is, as a wrestler, you should have thicker skin. If it's a fan getting offended in the audience, that's another thing. John Mays says, yes, Hitman did, and Sean called Brett the Grand Wizard, saying he was racist towards Nation of Domination. There was a whole bunch of controversial stuff going on in the late 90s, back when wrestling was really popular. You know what? Wrestling used to be really much more entertaining. Peter Birdshell says, interview some strongmen. Maybe at some point in time, or I'll have someone else do it. I'm not really a big fan of strongman competitions, but I am attending the Arnold Classic this year. So last year I only came for 2 days of it. You can watch all my interviews on this channel. We covered the Arnold Sports Hall of Fame and did tons of interviews while there. So there's a good chance I'll cover some strongman stuff this year too. Peter Birdsell says, cool. Connect TV USA says, what do I think of Batista? What do I think that Batista wants Finlay to induct him in the Hall of Fame? Why not? By the way, I was in the ring with Batista in 2004 before a Raw show in Calgary that I was an extra at. And I remember Arn Anderson was working with Batista and Tyson Tomko with choking people in the corner, and I was the extra being used as the guy that they were practicing choking people in the corner with. I know Batista wrestled on the card that night in a big match. I forget who against. Tyson Tomko actually debuted on that same card as well, and he tripped when he slipped when he was in the ring delivering the boot, and that, I think, unfortunately sealed his career with WWE. Hybrid Eye 78 has a very good point here. Bischoff should be inducted with the NWO. I do agree with that. If you're going to induct the NWO, you should induct Bischoff. I don't know if Bischoff is in the WWE Hall of Fame yet. I don't believe he is. But as I said, I don't plan on ever attending. There's not really many Hall of Fames in professional wrestling that I have any respect for. I'll be perfectly honest. The George Tragos Luthez Hall of Fame might be one of the more legitimate ones. I like how it's also connected with amateur wrestling and MMA. So I would say that's my favorite of the Hall of Fames, and I have covered that one numerous times. Maybe I'll cover it again next year too. Who knows? We'll see. But that's it for tonight. I got to go work out. My full shoot interview with Hillbilly Jim should be up at patreon.com/the Hannibal TV. Cutterman 101. Last question. Who has anything to predict about the Raw show tonight? Well, supposedly Lashley and Lana are getting a divorce. That's the big segment. I predict that the show will be crappy and I won't watch it.